you, while the medium-term picture is important, for some of you, obviously, what is interesting and what is exciting from the point of view of near-term attention is what is the growth rate that the survey projects for the next financial year. So we are now, after having discussed the medium-term prospects, which are now looking good because cleaned up balance sheets and reforms are going to have a lagged payback. Where we are today is that the numbers which we have up to the end of second quarter in September, July to September, the momentum is continuing in the economy. If you look at the industrial production, consumer durables, infrastructure and construction goods and manufacturing, they are running at a rate better than they were in the previous 2 years. And the middle portion is very important. 10 out of 10 sectors in the private listed company space, all these sectors, investments undertaken by companies in the first half of 22-23 is higher than what it was in the first half of FY 21-22. On the right side, what you see is a proxy for contact-based services. Leisure, tourism, hospitality, domestic and foreign travel, all of them we are trying to proxy with this one number, showing that by and large, air passenger and cargo traffic are now running at more than 90% of the pre-pandemic levels. And as I mentioned earlier, credit growth is picking up across different sectors, MSMEs, large industry, services, and non-food credit. All of them are growing at more than double-digit rates. And even NBFCs, as you can see on the right side, their credit disbursal is also rising. And in general, credit to MSMEs is now, on an average, has grown at around 30% since January 2022. And not only the banking system, but also the non-banking financial corporations, their non-performing assets are lower than they were 15 months ago or 18 months ago. Therefore, the survey projects the nature and it is deliberate. Because we do understand that the global political and economic environment remains still rife with uncertainty. We have many known unknowns as well as unknown unknowns, and we also do not know how the speed with which global economy recovers will lead to the kind of inflation pressures that we saw last year. China reopened fairly rapidly, and as of now, the United States economy looks set to avoid a full-fledged formal recession, and therefore this January already we have seen crude oil prices and industrial metal prices higher than they were at the end of December. From the Indian standpoint, a moderate to somewhat significant global economic slowdown will be, on balance, a better outcome because it would lead to lower commodity prices and a cessation of interest rate tightening in the developed world, weaker dollar, etc. Therefore, in order to make sure that we fully accommodate the downside risks, the band has been kept at 6 to 6.8 and the baseline number at 6.5%. This number is very much in line with what international organizations have predicted, including what the IMF said this morning. So therefore, ladies and gentlemen, we have basically come to the end of the presentation, and in this last slide, as I mentioned at the very beginning, what more can be done to ensure that the potential GDP growth does not stop at 6.5 to 7%, but goes beyond that, even if global growth and export prospects remain somewhat moderate. India has the potential to enhance its GDP growth by attending to many of the domestic challenges in itself, including starting with administrative reforms and enforcement of contracts, leading to what I always say, divesting from life insurance corporation is one thing, but divesting from license, inspection, and compliance, that is more important. So that has to happen at the level of union government, state governments, and local governments. And finally, our aspiration to become a global manufacturing powerhouse will not be served unless we are able to ensure affordable, reliable, and economically viable power supply throughout the country. And we have to make sure that we reduce the dependence on fossil fuels and ensure availability of rare earths and critical minerals to make the switch to renewable energy. And no country that is developed today has managed to reach this far without having a viable Mittelstand, the small medium enterprise sector. So we have to continue to pursue what we have been doing in the last several years, ensuring that the MSME sector becomes more and more formalized. The skilling and education envisaged under the new education policy has to be pursued, because 21st century challenges are going to be different from the previous century. Old age care, elder care, mental health, living with the green economy, all these things are not something that our education system was prepared for earlier. Therefore, that has to be addressed as well. And we have to make sure that women are able to contribute as much to economic productivity and activity as they are capable of. And today's Republic Day, this year's presentation focused very much on Nari Shakti as well. And even in the economic space, we have to make sure that whatever is feasible legislatively and in terms of law and order, physical security, work from home, and child care, or whatever governments need to do, they have to do to be able to let our women make the choice for themselves between working and addressing their family priorities as well. And they shouldn't be in a position to having to choose between the two. They should be able to perform both those activities if they desire to do so, and that is what will enhance economic growth as well. So overall, if we are able to address these pending issues as well, our future up to the centenary of India's independence and beyond will be brighter than what it has ever been. So this year's economic survey comes to you in 3 volumes: the main document, the statistical appendix, and more importantly, an economic survey highlights giving some of the statistical information. And many of the charts and the tables which are there will be uploaded as Excel files as well for you to download and look at the data yourself and make use of them. So I hope this presentation has given you a glimpse of what the survey contains and has whetted your appetite to dive deeper into the parent documents. Thank you for your patient listening. Thank you.